Residents and officials in Havana have strongly rejected U.S. accusations against former Cuban leader Raúl Castro over the 1996 downing of two brothers to the rescue aircraft. Locals called handing Castro over immoral and a betrayal, while President Miguel Diaz-Canel dismissed the charges as a political maneuver. Deputy Foreign Minister Carlos Fernandez de Cosio went further, accusing Washington of using the indictment as a pretext for military action against sovereign states. He defended Cuba's actions as protecting national airspace after repeated warnings to the U.S. about incursions. The U.S. Department of Justice has charged Castro with murder and conspiracy, crimes that could carry the death penalty. 4 people died in the Florida Strait incident, which remains a flashpoint in U.S.-Cuba relations. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov says Russia and China cannot be subjugated by Western sanctions, accusing the West of trying to bend nations to its will. In an interview with Shanghai Media Group on Wednesday, Lavrov described China as Russia's main business partner and a stabilizing force in global affairs. He noted that both countries rank among the world's top 5 economies, ensuring mutual strength and stability. Lavrov also pointed out that sanctions reflect the West's fear of competition and declining global influence, pointing to unfair tactics in trade, technology, and even sport. He stressed Russia seeks no harm but will firmly defend its interests while promoting an orderly multipolar world alongside China through initiatives like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. His remarks came as President Vladimir Putin met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, where the two leaders praised their strategic partnership and signed no cooperation agreements. The Made in Russia Food Festival took center stage at the 10th China-Russia Expo in Harbin on Wednesday, highlighting growing trade ties between the two countries. Footage showed visitors sampling Russian meats, drinks, and condiments alongside Chinese delicacies like dried sea cucumber. Exhibitors praised the event as a win-win for businesses and consumers, noting the popularity of Russian products among young Chinese buyers. Spanning 55,000 square meters, the expo has attracted more than 1,500 companies from 46 countries under the theme Trust, Cooperation and Mutual Benefit. The festival coincided with Russian President Vladimir Putin's state visit to China, where he met President Xi Jinping to expand strategic cooperation across key sectors. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin have vowed to elevate their countries' cooperation to new heights during talks in Beijing, marking 30 years of their strategic partnership and 25 years since signing the Treaty of Good Neighborliness. Xi said China and Russia should drive national development through comprehensive strategic coordination of even higher quality. He emphasized deepening trust, expanding trade, energy, and technology ties, and promoting a multipolar world order. Putin hailed relations as unprecedented, citing record trade, growing energy cooperation, and strong people-to-people exchanges. The two leaders signed a joint statement and witnessed 20 new agreements across sectors including education, science, and investment. Xi and Putin also pledged closer multilateral collaboration under the UN, SCO, BRICS, and APEC, underscoring their partnership as a stabilizing force in global affairs. China has extended visa-free travel for Russian citizens until the end of 2027, the Foreign Ministry announced Wednesday, a move underscoring closer ties between the two countries. The decision came as President Vladimir Putin wrapped up a 2-day visit to Beijing. Russian citizens holding ordinary passports can now enter China for up to 30 days without a visa for tourism, business, or family visits. Moscow confirmed it will reciprocate with the same arrangement for Chinese citizens. Officials say the policy has already boosted tourism and business exchanges. In 2025, Russians made 2.5 million trips to China, a 30% increase from the previous year, while Chinese visitors accounted for more than half of all foreign tourists to Russia. The visa-free regime coincides with expanding cooperation in trade, energy, technology, and education, marking a new chapter in the 30-year Russia-China strategic partnership. Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump may meet on the sidelines of the APEC summit in Shenzhen this November, according to Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov. Putin confirmed his attendance during talks with President Xi Jinping of China, while Trump has also signaled plans to take part. Ushakov said no meeting is officially scheduled, but noted it is likely the two leaders will cross paths if both are present. A potential encounter would follow their August 2025 summit in Alaska, the first face-to-face since the Ukraine conflict escalated in 2022. That meeting ended without a ceasefire, but was described as productive. Trump has alternated between criticizing Putin over stalled peace talks and praising their personal relationship, even hinting at a possible trip to Russia this year. The Kremlin says Putin is ready to host him. Russian Security Council Secretary Sergey Shoigu has accused Armenia of taking steps that contradict allied cooperation with Moscow. Speaking at a special working group meeting in Moscow on Wednesday, Shoigu said Yerevan was building ties with states unfriendly to Russia, citing Armenia's accession to the International Criminal Court, extradition of Russian citizens, and restrictions on Russian businesses. He reminded officials of Russia's role in preserving Armenia's sovereignty in the 1990s and mediating peace in 2020. Around 20 senior Russian representatives attended the meeting, including Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Ovchuk and Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galusin. The criticism comes after Armenia signed a law in April 2025 to begin EU accession talks, while insisting it will remain in the Eurasian Economic Union. President Vladimir Putin has said cooperation with the EU is acceptable, but joining both customs unions simultaneously is impossible. CCTV footage from Malatya on Wednesday showed people rushing out of shops, cafes, and schools after a 5.6 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Turkey early in the morning. Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Presidency said the quake hit the Batagazi district at around 9 a.m. local time, at a shallow depth of just over 7 kilometers. Tremors were also felt in nearby provinces, including Adıyaman, Elazığ, and Kahramanmaraş. Reports from Syria and Lebanon confirmed the quake was felt across parts of both countries. Authorities say there are no immediate reports of casualties or major damage, though inspections are ongoing. Turkey remains highly vulnerable to earthquakes, sitting on the North Anatolian and East Anatolian fault systems. Russia's Federation Council Chair Valentina Matviyenko praised ties with Kazakhstan during talks with Senate Speaker Maulen Ashimbayev in Moscow on Wednesday. Matviyenko said relations had reached the level of an all-encompassing strategic partnership covering every sphere of cooperation, including parliamentary dialogue. Footage showed the two leaders viewing a photo exhibition before Matviyenko presented Ashimbayev with Russia's Order of Friendship. She highlighted shared historical memory, especially World War II, and noted preparations for President Vladimir Putin's upcoming state visit to Kazakhstan, which she said would give a new powerful impetus to bilateral ties. Ashimbayev emphasized centuries-old good neighborly relations and praised the strong friendship between Presidents Tokayev and Putin. Discussions also touched on education, including Kazakh students in Russian universities and the Serious International School project. Sierra Leone has become the latest African country to receive migrants deported from the United States under President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. A chartered plane carrying 9 West African migrants landed near Freetown on Wednesday, including citizens from Ghana, Guinea, Nigeria, and Senegal. Foreign Minister Timothy Musa Kaba confirmed Sierra Leone has agreed to accept up to 300 deportees annually. The U.S. has already sent deportees to countries such as the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ghana, and South Sudan. Critics, including Human Rights Watch, warn that deportations to third countries violate international human rights standards and put vulnerable migrants at risk.